Hello, welcome to my channel, another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and today I am in Portland, the Hollywood district, home of my friend Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. We are coming to you today from the community art room in his apartment building, and we hope there's not going to be any interruptions. Well, today I want to do the Portland tag. I wrote the Portland tag researching interesting things about Portland. Maybe I made a few mistakes about Portland because I'm not a native. I did know I make one mistake and Alan corrected me, but that's not in this video. So let's go ahead and get to this tag. There are 5 facts and 5 prompts that correspond to the fact. And then at the end, we will tag some people. So let's go through the Portland tag. Fact number 1. Portland is near the end of the Oregon Trail. The city grew rapidly in the mid-1980s because it was close to the trail's destination in Willamette Valley. Nearby Oregon City is usually considered the official end of the Oregon Trail. Key historic points about Portland. Founded in 1845, named after Portland, Maine, after a coin toss, and it became a major shipping point and timber port for the Pacific Northwest. Prompt number 1. Name a book about pioneers, timber, shipping, or one that features a coin toss that determines an important event in the book. So, Alan, you get to go first.
All right. Well, I would like to say that that coin toss, it was between Portland and Boston. So we could be in Boston, Oregon.
Okay.
Right now, yeah. Okay, I picked the Oregon Trail by Runker Buck, who's a writer I like, nonfiction. He also wrote one about the Mississippi, going down the Mississippi in a flatbed boat like Twain did. And that was good too. I like him. Rinker Buck.
I've never read the Oregon Trail book. It's that is a very well-known American classic.
But no, it has the same name.
It's the same name. It's a newer version.
Yeah, he's the type of writer. He built like a Pioneer wagon to spec.
Okay.
And then took it across.
Oh, so it's like it's a revisiting of the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
The original book. Okay.
Yeah, that's his gimmick, or
All right.
This stuff. Yeah, you'd like it.
All right.
What'd you pick?
I picked Sometimes a Great Notion by Ken Kesey. Ken Kesey is more famously known for his first novel, One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But Sometimes a Great Notion starts off with a college student somewhere out east, I believe, and he is drawn back to his family business in Oregon, right along the river, and that's called the Columbia River. The Columbia River, I'm pretty sure.
Separates Washington.
It separates Washington State and Columbia. So he comes back, and his family runs a timber company. And it's all about the family dilemmas and the brothers confronting each other and conflicting with each other with his father's business running the timber. But what's interesting, what Ken Kesey does, is he switches the narrative view very often, and sometimes he does it in mid-paragraph, which is very confusing, but still very much in line with what Ken Kesey would want to do. And I found this just a fascinating and interesting novel, not just because of the narrative style, which I kind of like, but the dynamics of the brothers and learning all about logging in Oregon. And this would have been in the late 50s because the book was published in 1964. And logging is the second most dangerous profession that you can have. The first, if I'm not mistaken, is fishing.
Oh. Now, I remember the movie well, too, especially that scene between Paul Newman and John Voight, I believe. But Ken Kesey is real.
He wrote 2 great novels. He wrote One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and then sometimes the Great Notion, and then he got into LSD. And he,
You wrote Sailor Song.
I tried to read Sailor Song once, and I got through about 80 pages and go, this
Didn't
is
like it.
this is not for me.
Oh, I know he has statues in that.
He does in Oregon,
Eugene.
somewhere on the Columbia River. He has a statue to him.
Well,
the
it's
author.
in Eugene, Oregon, too. On
Eugene,
the
Oregon.
campus.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of them. They're online.
All right. So let's get to fact number 2. Portland is known as the City of Roses or Stump City. 2 famous natural sites highlight this reputation. Forest Park is one of the largest urban forests in the United States, covering more than 5,000 acres within city limits. It has over 80 miles of trails, including the famous Wildwood Trail. It preserves a temperate rainforest ecosystem inside a major city, and the locals often treat it as a backyard wilderness for hiking and trail running. And prompt number 2, name a book with a forest, roses, or flowers that are central to the story or subject. You go
All
first.
right. Well, I'll mention, yesterday we were in the Arboretum by the zoo, walked around some big trees. I just went with A Rose for Emily. It's not even a novel.
Oh, but it's a great, it's probably Faulkner's best short story. Maybe Barn Burning is number 1 and Rose Emily number 2, or vice versa.
I like that Evening Sun, too.
Okay. And The Rose for Emily has one of the best shocker endings of any short story you're going to read. You will, if you have not read that, your jaw will drop when you read the final sentence of that story. Okay,
Mhm.
that's yours?
Sure.
All right, for me, I'm going with The River of Doubt by Candace Millard. This is a nonfiction account of Theodore Roosevelt exploring the Amazon rainforest. Theodore Roosevelt was running for his, what would have been his 3rd term as president back in the 1920s, somewhere in that area, maybe the 1910s, actually. My brain isn't that good at remembering the dates. But he lost under the Bull Moose Party, and he was so distraught, he needed something to clear his mind and something to focus on. So someone pointed out this map of the Amazon rainforest, which was incomplete. They did not have that air travel at the time, which means I think it probably was the 1910s.
Mhm.
But they said there's this river called the River of Doubt, and they've only explored 1 or 2 miles, and there's this blank part of the map. No one's explored this part of the Amazon rainforest. And then down south, or is it down east, somewhere like that, there's another river tributary that's unnamed, and they speculated that this river tributary matched up with the River of Doubt. And they said, why don't you go explore and find out if that's true? And this is an ex-president of the United States exploring an uncharted river in the Amazon rainforest. It just shows what kind of man Theodore Roosevelt was, how brave and intrepid, and is totally willing to repress his fear. And he brought his son Kermit along on this trip. And let's just say that Theodore Roosevelt came this close to dying on this trip. Now, this is not a full biography of Theodore Roosevelt, but it does have lots of fascinating information about life in a rainforest, completely unexplored. There are unknown tribes of Amazonian Indians which Theodore Roosevelt and his group encountered. It is one of the best works of nonfiction that I have ever read. All right.
Good choice.
Fact number 3. The legendary Powell City of Books is often described as the largest independent bookstore in the world. Why readers love it? It occupies an entire city block, carries roughly 1 million new and used books, and uses color-coded rooms to organize subjects. I absolutely adore Powell's books. Right now, it is my favorite bookstore in the world. It is second to the Strand bookstore in New York City. I have not been to the Strand in 20, 25 years. I'm way overdue for a visit to the Strand bookstore. But this is about Powell's. And the prompt number 3, name a book that features books, reading, or bookstores as central to the story or subject. I will consider a library as a substitute for a bookstore, if that's what you have.
Well, that's high praise indeed about Powell's. I just picked a book that I have not read yet. The Book Thief. Now, you like it?
I've read The Book Thief. A lot of people praise that book to the skies. They love it. It is essentially set during the rise of the Nazis in Germany. There is a young girl character who is preserving books from the rampant book burning of the Nazis during that era. I did not like it as much as some people like this book. Now, I'm going to admit I have a personal bias against young adult fiction. In the United States, The Book Thief is usually counted as a young adult novel. Other parts of the world, they just say it's a novel. But I did not like it as much as some people did. Now, the one really picayune thing about that book that bothered me is that there is a page or two in that book where it's supposed to be Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf, and it has been plastered like whitewashed, and other type is on top of it. But for whatever reason, they used the English version of Mein Kampf instead of the German version. I know, it doesn't make any difference. It's picayune. That kind of bugged me about it.
And your choice?
My choice is a book that I need to reread this year. I am probably going to be rereading this in September with Michelle. And that is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is a novel translated from the Spanish. And in this novel, there is a fabulous used bookstore. Endless aisles, endless numbers of books. And in this bookstore, every reader is able to discover his or her special book. And usually the special book is so rare and so obsolete, no one reads it anymore. But once the reader finds the book, they have found their book that is theirs, and that gives them a special sense of identity. That's really all I remember. That's not the super central part of the plot. It's just the part of the bookstore that I remember. And again, I'm going to be rereading this in September.
Yeah, I like that book.
Okay. Fact number 4. Keep Portland Weird is an informal slogan in Portland to celebrate the city's reputation for independence, creativity, and unconventional culture. The idea encourages people to support local businesses instead of chains, embrace artistic and eccentric expression, and maintain Portland's quirky, individualistic character. The slogan was popularized in the early 2000s by a local business owner, inspired by a similar campaign in Austin, Texas, where Keep Austin Weird had already become a cultural catchphrase. And prompt number 4 is, name a book that features something weird that is central to the story or subject.
Well, off the top of my head, I've mentioned this book before, Homeboy by Seth Morgan. The whole book is a weird. It's about the netherworld of the Tenderloin, San Francisco underground and Coldwater prison. It's we buddy read this.
We buddy read that in 2024, right? Or 2025? I think 24.
Yeah, I don't think you like it as much as me.
Yeah, I enjoyed the book. I found it, and it was actually pretty well written. And there are some strange characters in that book, which I did enjoy. But You love that book. You always were convincing me how great the book is, and I read it. I said, "Okay, this is a good book." And I
Yeah.
think anyone who likes a little bit of strange books, a little bit of crime, a little bit of a prison culture, and some very odd characters.
It definitely jumps off the page, as it were. The scenes in that, it's kind of outrageous, but
It is outrageous, but it's outrageous in a way that just entertains you and makes you happy.
Wouldn't want to live their lives or anything either. Although they have some fun.
Yeah.
What'd you pick?
I picked Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson.
Cool.
Now, this is kind of bizarre in a number of ways. When this book was first published, it was sold as nonfiction. And I guess the theory is it's based on a real trip that Hunter S. Thompson took to Las Vegas. And there's a lot of scenes which are based in reality, but it's more likely a fictionalization of his trip. And a lot of people now just call it a novel instead of nonfiction. But I do remember when I first bought a paperback copy of this book in Crown Books back in the 80s, I bought it from the nonfiction section. So I'm going to continue to call it nonfiction with that little asterisk saying maybe it's kind of fiction as well. But that's not the weird part. This is a story of a man who's traveling to Las Vegas. Is he named Dr. Gonzo? Is that the other character?
No, he's Dr. Gonzo.
Dr. Gonzo.
His lawyer is, Laszlo or something.
Yeah, I can't remember the lawyer's name, but he does a massive amount of drugs, and it just gets kind of hallucinatory in the storyline. And there's one part of the story that always makes me chuckle. His lawyer decides that he wants to die. And the way he wants to die is that he wants to be taking a bath in a hotel room. And he wants to have a toaster oven plugged in the wall. And he wants Dr. Gonzo to throw it into the bath while he's listening to White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. And in the text, it goes, there is a part in the song White Rabbit where you know that you have to throw it into the tub. And I'm going through that. I think I know that song well enough that I know where to toss it in, but maybe I don't. Maybe I don't know my music well enough, but it's just a bizarre book.
I never heard that.
Well, it's in the text. It's in the book.
Okay.
The lawyer's saying, throw it in when I'm listening to White Rabbit. And I've always tried to figure out what that section of White Rabbit is.
Yeah, I've read a lot of Thompson, and maybe all of it. I've read the two biographies, one by his son, then I've read his letters, which is like at least 3 volumes. He was friends with Kennedy, the guy who wrote William Kennedy, about Albany, New York.
Yeah, William Kennedy, Ironweed, the Albany trilogy.
Friends with Hunter down.
Okay, yeah, I've read the Albany trilogy. That's actually a pretty good trilogy of books. Maybe something for 2028 or 2029. We're so backed up.
Yeah, I like Hunter though a lot. That's a good choice.
I also read Hell's Angels, and that really is nonfiction of his experience writing with the Hell's Angels. And I would not want to ride with the Hell's Angels, even if I had a motorcycle license. I'd just say, thank you, you go your way, I'll go down this other street.
You could enter too like dirty in that. They don't keep up with their hygiene.
No, there was one scene describing something sort of sexual. I'm going, okay, let's just not talk about that.
And they stopped him too. They beat
I think
Hunter's
they did.
ass.
Yeah. And he still continued with them after getting stomped, if I remember correctly. It's been a number of years. It's probably a book I need to reread. All right. Prompt number 5. Hold on. Fact number 5. I'm sorry. Portland is famous for coffee, craft beer, food carts, and strip clubs. The city's modern cultural culture revolves around independent small businesses. It often is ranked among the top craft beer sites in the world and has a huge food cart scene with hundreds of carts in pods. Portland also has a strong coffee culture with many independent roasters and cafes. In addition, it's long been known for having more strip clubs per capita than most US cities. Actually, it's not most, it is the most strip clubs per capita in the United States. So, prompt number 5, name a book that features coffee, beer, food carts, strippers, or small businesses as central to the story or subject.
Yeah, I picked, I had to go with Ignatius and his food cart, and the strippers, and what's her name with the boa?
The tassels and the Knight's Joy is the name of the club. Yes.
With black janitor and
who's working below the minimum wage.
Always getting accused of being vagrant.
Mm-hmm. Now the funny thing is, I had also picked Confederacy of Dunces.
We hadn't talked about this before today.
I was going to put it in my weird section. No, Confederate Dunces was always number 5 because of the food cart, the hot dog stand that he has.
Hot dog cart. I was going to throw in Don Carpenter's Hard Rain Falling for a prompt answer.
Oh, can I do my 5?
Yeah.
I have not answered my number 5.
Oh, you didn't.
And that is Geek Love by Catherine Dunn. That was one that I was going to put in the weird section because that is one of the weirdest books that you've ever read. It starts off with a carnival family, and they decide that they don't have enough carnival freaks. So they decide to make their own. So the mother ingests poisonous and strange substances, so her children are born with birth defects. She has one son who is essentially a seal baby, which is very not polite term, but he has basically flippers for arms and legs. She has an albino dwarf named Olympia. She is the narrator of the book. And then they have a pair of Siamese twins, Iffy and Effie, not too sure of the names. And then the pièce de résistance, Chick. You will have to understand the book, or read the book to understand why he is the pièce de résistance of freaks. But I picked this book because the story is set in 2 timelines. One timeline is with the carnival family and the freakish children. But the second one is when Olympia is a grown woman. She has a daughter. The daughter has a pigtail, so she's just mildly freakish. But she's a stripper in a strip club, and she attracts the attention of a very wealthy woman who wants to do something unique to this stripper with a pigtail. And I will leave it at that. Now, you had another bonus book.
Right.
You want to talk about
Greek Love.
Geek Love.
Geek Love, yes.
Actually, I have it misdone in my notes as Greek Love. It is Geek Love.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know because it starts in Portland. I've talked about this.
Hard Rain Falling is fabulous.
Yeah, it's a prison novel.
And it doesn't fit any of the prompts. Otherwise, I would have picked it for something.
Oh, I don't know why I have it. I guess it's
okay.
Why is it up?
No, we got to tag some people.
Oh, with tags.
Let's tag the usual suspects. MJ at Reading This Life.
Then
Pat at Book Chat with Pat. Brian at Bookish.
Right.
So name something you want to pick. We did not write this down beforehand. So it's all off the cuff.
Hannah's books.
Hannah's books.
Let's see. We were talking about Una. Sometimes they'll do a tag.
Okay, Una.
Una and Crypto, the Codex Cantina. And how about, I'm getting to know some new booktubers. So
how about Roz at Scalladallion around the books?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's one. And then Austin at Eternal Reading. He's out of Belfast.
Okay. I don't know the channel as well as you, but I'll tag him.
Yeah. Patrick, I think Patrick reads. He's in, oh man, I think Thailand.
Okay.
But so you want to take some more?
I think that's a good start on tags.
Yeah,
Taxi
that will
movie.
help us.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you for watching, and keep on reading, and visit Portland if you ever get the chance. And definitely go to Pal's Books.